astronauts? Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Hi. Hello. This is episode 2-18, folks. I am here. You are here. I am talking. You are listening. This is the Todd Cook Show. I am Todd Cook. Got another great episode. How about that? What is that, 5 seconds into the show and I already hit the mic stand? I got to work on that, fellas and ladies and everybody out there listening. I got to work on that. I got to move this microphone somewhere where my chair does not hit it every time I move a little bit. I think last episode, it took me at least 60 seconds before I hit it. And then later in the show, I hit it again. But this time, I hit it within the first 5 seconds. That might be a new record. But I'll do my best not to hit it again, but I'm sure I will. Actually, I'm quite certain I will, because as I'm looking down where it's at right now, I won't be able to move my chair an inch without hitting it. So at some point, you'll probably hear that noise again. But I'll just keep going on and pretend like it didn't happen. On this episode of the Todd Cook Show, I want to tell you about a little trip that my family took to the pumpkin patch. That's right, the pumpkin patch, not the Charlie Brown pumpkin patch, but this is another pumpkin patch just north of El Dorado, Kansas. And I remember when I first moved to Kansas, I pronounced it El Dorado, and somebody corrected me very quickly, said, no, it's not El Dorado, it's El Dorado. But I know the Eagles song, it's El Dorado. And it seems like all the old Western movies where they had to go and pick up some, bad guy that was hiding out, and it was always El Dorado as well. But here in Kansas, they like to call it El Dorado. Anyway, already off the topic, that soon into the show, and I already got sidetracked a little bit. But I'm going to tell you about going to the pumpkin patch here with my family, and that's what I'm going to do in the first segment. And then in the second segment, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that pumpkin patch trip. And then afterwards, at the end of the second segment, I'm going to play a little song by Bride. They got a new album that will be getting released. I believe they set the date finally at October 29th, I want to say. And so I'm looking forward to that. And they released the third single off of that album. And it looks like the album's going to have 17 tracks on it. So there's still 14 more songs that I have not yet heard, but I am excited to do so. That will be coming up after the second segment. And then in the third segment, I'm going to finish up talking about the pumpkin patch. So this entire episode is nothing but a big pumpkin patch. So if you like talk about pumpkin patches and going to doing different things that you can do at some of these pumpkin patches, you're going to really enjoy the show. And if you don't, I'm sorry, you're going to have to listen anyway. You don't have a choice. I can't talk about too many things at the same time, or both me and you would get confused. All right. So it was my company that I work for here, Green Vision Group, which is a company of doctors and opticians that help you with your eyeglasses. If you need eyeglasses and you live anywhere in the Wichita area, there's a good chance that you have gone to a Green Vision Group. I want to say store, not a store, but just a Green Vision Group location. And it was during a company appreciation party, and so they paid the way for everybody to go to this pumpkin patch. And it should have been called Employees Kids Appreciation Party, because I think the kids have way more fun at this stuff than we do. But I had a great time. The first thing I want to talk about, first of all, these people that have these pumpkin patches, what a great idea. Okay, you got this, 20, 30, 40 acres of land, and you start growing pumpkins. And it's just for this particular one, the front sign says it's only open from the third week of September through the end of October. So it's like a week and a half, or a month and a half, that they are open, and they have hundreds, probably thousands of people come to their farm during this time, and they probably make a pretty good amount of money off of this. And I think that's great. It's like, 100 years ago when somebody said they were living off the land, it meant literally living off the land, growing their own food, and maybe having their own cattle, just living off the land. But now it's kind of a clever way of living off the land. You have a pumpkin patch, and people just come there to get the pumpkins. And then you have other things for them to do, entertainment, a playground. And this particular pumpkin patch had these two really big pillows that you can jump on, big air pillows. The best way I can describe it is that they're like the big inflatable bouncy houses or jumpy houses that the kids get in, at the carnival. Or nowadays they have them just a building that have nothing but these things in them, and that's all the building exists for. That's all the business exists for, is to have these jumpy houses. And that's basically what they had here at this farm, except for there was no walls of the jumpy house and no ceiling. It's just a big pillow that gets inflated with air from underneath the ground somehow, and the kids get on there and jump on it. And now my boys here at home, we have a trampoline, so they've done a lot of jumping in their days. We got a trampoline about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And no, I think it was for Johnny's birthday. So yeah, just a little over a year ago, they got that trampoline, and their boys love it. But they need a little more space. You get a 7-year-old in there and a 2-year-old, and they start bouncing around, and they start bumping into each other. And sometimes it makes it more fun, but sometimes it makes it less fun. They start getting a little mad, and it might injure each other by accident. But this is this huge pillow, and I'm going to guess this thing is 50 feet long by 25 feet wide. And, all these kids are on there, and adults, myself, get on this pillow, and you start jumping around. And Jackson, who's only 2, Johnny at the age of 7 was doing fine. He's just jumping all over the place and sliding down the sides and running around. But Jackson's only 2 and quite a bit smaller than everybody else that was on there. And now they have 2 pillows. One's a little bit smaller than this one. And by the way, also my wife, she's expecting, and she's getting excited and wanting to get this baby out. And I said, maybe you should try jumping on this thing to try to induce labor, but she didn't think that was a good idea. But anyway, at first, me, Johnny, and Jackson were both on the really big one. But Jackson was bouncing around like a Mexican jumping bean in a frying pan or something. Just could not stay on his feet. The only time he was okay was if I had both of his hands and helping him jump a little bit. But eventually, I took Jackson, the youngest one, over to the smaller pillow over there, where his mom went over there with him so that she could watch him. And the good thing about this too is that it's completely fenced in. Once you get them in there, they can't get out except for going through that one little opening. So you can just sit outside there and watch them, but I like to get in there. But anyway, then it was just me and Johnny at the big pillow, and Jackson and his mom at the other pillow. And there's so many different things to do at this pumpkin patch, this farm, that I didn't want to spend too much time at the jumping pillow because we wouldn't have time to do a lot of the other things. But Johnny just wanted to stay there quite a bit, so we did. And at some point, I kind of chased him around and was pushing him down and got a little out of control, and my knee came down on top of his butt, and thought I probably bruised his butt a little bit or something. He was kind of down and rubbing his butt for a little bit, but he seemed to be fine. But we had a lot of good time. It was a lot of fun. Maybe just as much fun for me as it was for Johnny. But yeah, he loved the jumping pillow. And they had these they're like go-karts that you sit on with a steering wheel, but you pedal them. And Johnny was a little too small to pedal it. So what does his old 38-year-old out-of-shape dad has to do? Push him around on it and, trying to run to make it fun enough for him to enjoy himself. And he's steering it, and we had a good old time. Then Daddy got on there, and I pedaled around, and that was after I got done running around. And so by the time I got done running around, I was really tired and didn't want to pedal. But it was fun enough that I decided to go ahead and give it a try. And I made one lap around the track while I was pedaling and had a lot of fun. All right, let's take our first break here. When I come back, I'm going to tell you about the sliding event that I did at the pumpkin patch with my son as well. But for now, we're going to take a short little break. You're listening to The Todd Cook Show.
You're listening to The Todd Cook Show.
Hi, Todd Cook here. Do you like going out on Friday or Saturday nights for some supper and live music, but you're not into the bar scene? Because let's face it, when the alcohol starts to flow, those places can get a little loud and a bit rowdy. sometimes to the point that it becomes difficult for you to enjoy your food or the music? Do you wish that there was a place that had good food, good music, but a less distracting atmosphere? A place that you can enjoy the food and the music but still get home at a decent hour? Well, that place does exist, and it's right here in Wichita on the corner of Douglas and Hillside, or 110 South Hillside to be exact. It's called The Kiln. They have live music every Friday and Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. The Kiln is a Christian-ran, non-alcoholic establishment that operates solely on donations. And they always have great food and great entertainment. And one of the best parts, you don't need a babysitter. You can bring the kids with you. So for more information, contact Mike through the Facebook page, The Kiln, K-I-L-N, and be sure to check it out yourself this Friday or Saturday night, 110 South Hillside, corner of Douglas and Hillside in Wichita. The Kiln, where they are always glad you came.
His lips are moving, but he ain't saying anything. Todd Cook.
The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com. All right, and the second segment of the Todd Cook Show, I'm going to tell you about the slide that they had at the pumpkin patch, and then I'm going to play a song for you by the band Bride. All right, so now at this point, we've been at this pumpkin patch for a good hour or two, and they fed us, by the way, some nice barbecue and potato salad and baked beans. And by the way, eating a lot of beans and then jumping on the pillow might not have been the best idea. And I won't explain exactly why, but I'll just leave it there. But the next thing is they had this slide, and I showed Johnny on YouTube. There was a video of people riding the slide, and so he was kind of excited to want to do it. And let me explain what this slide was. There's just a hill there. It looked like it was a man-made hill. They probably got some gravel and stuck, made a hill there. And then there was a little path to go up. But before you go up, you got to get a sled. One of those disc-shaped sleds that you would use in the snow. And now I've used these disc-shaped sleds in the snow, and I know they can be kind of hard to control. But this slide, you go down, it was like just a plastic slide, but it was a tube. So you go through the tube, and I thought, there's no way you can skip, you can't get off course because you're inside the tube. So I decided to do it with Johnny. And there was nobody there saying that the adults couldn't do it, and I saw some other adults do it, so why not? I'm going to give it a shot. And by the way, I remember as we're going up this hill there, there's a bunch of plants there, like greenery with and little flowers, and I keep seeing these big bugs, like just flying around all over, and I'm like, man, what are these bugs? And I remember at one point, right when we got at the top of the hill, one of those big bugs just flew like right by Johnny's face, and he ducked out of the way, and it might have even hit him a little bit. And it wasn't until later somebody pointed out that they weren't bugs. They were little hummingbirds, and they were all over this little hill, and you just sit there and watch them. And I tried to take a video of them, but it's very difficult to take a video of a hummingbird because those things move very fast. So I don't think National Geographic is going to ask for my copy of that video anytime soon because it just looks like a blur, and I'm trying to follow it around. But they're really neat watching these hummingbirds all over. But anyway, we climb up the top of this hill. We both get our sled. We go up to the top of the hill, and it's not really that big at all. But it just takes a few seconds to get up there. And you get up there, and of course, me being a guy and me being up there with my son, we had to race. So I said, Johnny, you hold on. We're going to race. We'll sit down because there's two slides. I should probably explain that. There's two slides, exact same height, exact same length, it looked like. So he was going to take one, and I was going to take the other, and we were going to race. And we got to the top of the hill, and by the way, I looked down, and Samantha and Jackson were down there. And I said, Samantha, you want to get the videotape rolling because we're about to make our first appearance on America's Funniest Home Videos. Because I was pretty confident something bad was going to happen, and most likely it was going to happen to me. Johnny's a little kid. For some reason, little kids can do this stuff and get away with it, but I'm not a little kid. And I was worried that something was going to happen. But I get up there, he sits down in his sled, he's all ready, and it takes Daddy a little while just to get down, low enough to get my butt on there. And I'm trying to get it adjusted right, and I can't. And at this point, there's another little girl that came up behind me. And she gets behind me, and she's like, go ahead and go. And I turned around and I said, shut up. And I pushed her and she fell down the hill and I laughed at her. No, that's not what happened. I said, hold on. I'm trying to get my butt up here on the sled because I wanted to get my butt centered. Because to me, from my perspective, balance was what we needed. Was what I needed the most. I did not want to get going down this sled inside of this tube and lose my balance and start flopping around, inside the tube like a shoe inside of a dryer or something, dunk, 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 or a cement mixer or something. So I wanted to make sure I had good balance. And once I got my butt where I needed to have it and got my legs straightened out down there, I looked over at Johnny. He was all ready. I said, all right, here we go. On your mark, get set, go. And I go down. And the only issue I had was the tube is pretty small when you're sitting on top looking down in it. But once you get halfway down in it, it looks even smaller. And I remember at one point thinking, man, if I sit up because I'm like laying down, with my butt on the sled, but laying all the way back, while Johnny is sitting Indian style on the tube without any problem. And I'm thinking, if I sit up just an inch, my hat and my head is going to hit the top of this tube, and I'm going to be bleeding by the time I get down. But didn't have any problem. Went right down. No problems whatsoever. So we're not going to be on America's Funniest Home Videos. And I talked about on my last show, or maybe the show before that, how I watched that show a lot. It would have been kind of neat to see myself on there, especially if I would have won the $10,000. Whatever kind of bruise or cut or broken bone that I might have received from going down the slide would have been just fine as long as I won the $10,000. But nothing happened. One of the few times in my life when I went down a slide like this and had no problems whatsoever, and even went up and did it again. And it had a lot of fun. The second slide, I tried to ride it as well, but it had too much friction on it. For some reason, I could only go like halfway. It might have been a little more narrow. I don't know what the problem was, but I could not get going down the second slide very well at all until I got about halfway down, and I was able to slide on through. So every time I went up, I went on the one slide, and Johnny would go on the other, and he had no problems whatsoever. He had a lot of fun. All right, let's play that song for you. This song is called I'm Melting. It's by Bride. And so here's Bride with I'm Melting on the Todd Cook Show. And actually, before I get to that, I forgot I have to play this in a different manner than I normally do. And for me to pull this off, I'm going to have to talk my way through it and click on this and pull this up here. And now I can play Bride Melting on the Todd Cook Show.
When I was a child, I saw the end of all things. The earth unwound just like a ball and stretched out like a stream. There was fire in the sky, lightning in the air. There were looks of doubt and dreams filled the air. I don't know who I am, if I exist at all. In this world we'll have many regrets. You're the one I try to forget. Love should never be a sacrifice, but day should never spoil a perfect life. I don't know who I am, if I exist at all. I feel I'm melting into this world of pain. I feel I'm sinking into this world of shame. I feel I'm dying. You're the one to blame. What is my purpose? My future
That was Bride with Melting, and any glitches you might have heard there is the fault of my computer or my equipment. And that song was brought to you by B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. If you live anywhere in the Wichita, Kansas area and you need a tow, a jump start, a winch out, if you've been locked out of your vehicle and you need to get in, if you ran out of gas and you need somebody to deliver some fuel to you, if you got an old junk car that you need to get rid of, you need to call B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. Cheyenne Brown, a 20-year veteran of the United States Air Force, owner and operator, B&B Towing, for all your towing needs in the Wichita, Kansas area. Call B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. And now I need to reduce this window, and so I can play my commercial now. And so that's what I'm going to do. All right, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Todd Cook Show will be right back.
Hi, everybody. Do you live in the Wichita area? Are you looking for a great place for lunch or dinner? Do you love live acoustic music but don't know where to go? Try the Artichoke Sandwich Bar. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and it is a fantastic place to eat and listen to live music. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and what goes better with a sandwich than a cold beer? So look up the Artichoke Bar on Facebook today to find out when they are opened and what musical artist is performing next. They just celebrated their 30th year in business, so you know they're doing something right. The Artichoke Sandwich Bar, 811 North Broadway, Wichita, Kansas, where everything is okie dokie artichoke.
Charlie Brown's teacher is easier to understand than he is. Todd.
All right, thank you very much. We got one more segment here. I need to start taking into consideration how long those songs are that I play. Most songs are between 2.5 and 4 minutes, and this song was over 5, so I got I guess I got about 4 minutes left, so this might work out all right. I don't have too much left to talk about anyway, so never mind. All right, this last segment, I'm finishing up this story about the pumpkin patch here. While we're riding the slides, at some point, I think I just got done, and maybe I was sitting there waiting for Johnny to go a couple more times. I hear a siren go off, or at least what sounded like a siren, and I thought that meant that they got one of those trucks there that has a big air compressor on it that shoots the pumpkins out. It's got like a big cannon, and they put the pumpkins in there. You might have seen this stuff on TV. It's kind of a pretty big competition that they have called Pumpkin Chunkin'. Well, they have a pumpkin chunker truck, whatever you want to call it there. And when I heard that siren go off, I thought it was getting ready to fire again. And so everybody, do the countdown. But I looked, and it wasn't that. And then I realized, I look over, and it's not a siren at all. They had some a little place there with some animals that you could pet, like a little petting zoo there with some goats, and they had a donkey. And that noise I heard was this donkey. And it wasn't the normal or I can't do animal noises, but and I won't ever try that again. Sorry, but it was this real loud. Actually, I ain't going to try it again. It was like, "Rrr!" And I thought it was a siren, but it was this donkey making this noise, and everybody in that whole area turned, look at this donkey, and it held out that long noise for probably a good 5 or 10 seconds, and everybody's like, "Holy cow, that's pretty loud." We tried to get him to do it again, he wouldn't. And then it was time to go home. And here's kind of a strange thing. I've said many times, and earlier in this show, I got a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. Now, after a long day of playing, and it's dark now, and we're getting in the car, and we're getting ready to head home, you would think both the boys are going to fall asleep at some point. Even the 7-year-old, right, would fall asleep. The 7-year-old fell asleep, but the 2-year-old never did. And this has happened many times before. Anytime we do an event like this and we got a little bit of a long drive home, you can guarantee Johnny's going to be asleep. The 7-year-old will be asleep. But that 2-year-old boy, that little booger, you'll be amazed. Late night, driving in a car, and he'll stay awake. And I remember multiple times looking in my rearview mirror and seeing him, turning my head over my shoulder and seeing his face. Johnny, I think, might have been asleep before he left the parking lot of the pumpkin patch. But Jackson, all the way home. And every time I look at him, he'd smile and like start jibber-jabbering. Look, I can see lights. I can do this, whatever he's saying. But it's just unbelievable that this 2-year-old boy did not fall asleep, and many times in the past has not fallen asleep in these kinds of events as well. Pretty strange. You'd think the 2-year-old would be out just as quick as the 7-year-old, but not in my family. All right, we got 1 minute left here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my button here to start the music. I think I got the right music. Yeah, that's it. Let me turn it up so we can hear it. All right. See, I'm doing things a little bit differently here today, so I got to talk my way through it. But I remember a while back I mentioned I was going to do a live show, and I believe I said I'm going to do it sometime in August. Well, obviously that didn't happen, and I'm not going to give you any more dates. But I honestly tried to get it done, but I couldn't get the technology worked out. The website the software I was trying to use, it just wasn't working for me. For whatever reason, I could not get it to work. But I finally got it to work today. So that live show is going to be coming up soon. And I think the way I'm going to do it is I will just announce it on Facebook when it's coming. And then all you can go to this website and log on and listen to me live. And that will allow you to send me a text during the show or ask me a question during the show. And I'll be able to answer it live for you, just like if I was on the radio, except you'll have to listen through your computer. So that's it for this episode, folks. Tune in next week. And remember the 2 rules. I'll talk, you listen.